Talk baseball.
All Yankee fans? Any Mets fans?
When Straw
I'm
comes,
kidding,
we
I'm
got to
just
give
kidding.
Straw. We got to give
Kidding.
Straw a lot of heat.
I'm just kidding.
We booked this thing with Straw about 3 years ago, so we have to give Straw a little heat. He was like, "Is Doc going to be on time?" I
That's what
said,
he
"Don't
said.
worry about Doc."
That's the way it's always been. Well, I'm not going to touch that today.
No, we're going to touch it,
Oh, yeah.
but we have to wait for him to come in to defend himself. But we still have a few more stragglers. But you guys were early. You should get paid being early with a little extra entertainment.
Yes.
I don't even like this guy. I love him because we go way back. We have history. You know, when you were throwing that crazy curve, change up, and everything else. When the whole city stopped when you pitched. Anybody remember that? How great was that? Anyway, these are the VVIPs. Really,
Evening, guys.
the loyalists that live and die with Yankee baseball, support the team, and are in game after game and have season tickets and things like that. So, first of all, thank you for your business and support. The Yankees appreciate it. We try to do these events to get them a little closer, get a little insight. So tonight we're going to hopefully bring them a little closer to the game, and thank you all for coming. We'll talk for a few minutes, but we're really going to do a lot more Q&A, so have your questions ready. And, something we probably need to talk as much as we can, but when Darryl comes, he talks a lot.
Takes it over.
Takes that mic over. Yeah, he's going to probably take the mic over. Yeah. First of all, how are you? How are you feeling? You read all these things, you don't really know, but how are you health-wise?
Great. Health is great. 52 years old now. Just had my fourth granddaughter last night. So I guess so with 7 kids, 2 ex-wives, and 4 grandkids, I could never truly retire. But kids are all blessings, and it's fun to have them. And for myself, my health is great. Going through implant surgeries now, so if I start spitting on you guys in the front row, forgive me. But everything's great. As Brandon mentioned, Brandon's a great friend. Been there always, through my ups and downs, always been very supportive. That means a lot, always been there. And you guys, the fans, always supported me, gave me a lot of energy when I was playing. And off the field to my struggles, you guys always been there as well. So I really appreciate that, and thank you guys.
Well, thank you. I want to roll back I want to start on a really high note. And we don't really talk much about the Mets here anyway because nobody cares about them. But I just wanted to zone in a little bit on how you ended up coming here and the relationship with George Steinbrenner and how you became a Yankee. And was it an easy transition?
At the beginning, it was tough because being a Met, you grew up, being drafted by the Mets in 1982, played a couple years in the minor leagues, and then 11 years I played with the Mets. You actually hate the Yankees. I mean, you don't literally hate the Yankees, but you hate the Yankees. But my father knew Mr. Steinbrenner personally back in Tampa. That's because of my nephew, Gary Sheffield. His team in 1978 won the Little League World Series. Derek Bell was a member of that team as well, and he invited him to Yankee Stadium for a game. And since 1978, at that time, I was 13 years old, and Mr. Steinbrenner always said, one day you're going to play on my team. That was even before I was drafted.
Said it to you personally?
Personally, yes. And he used to do so much stuff in the community. George is, a great guy, a tremendous guy. So in 1994, unfortunately, I got suspended from baseball, and the Mets figured they'll cut ties at that time. So I ended up being suspended for the entire 95 season. Wasn't many teams looking at me. Ray Negron said that Mr. Steinbrenner wanted to meet with me. So I don't know if you guys remember.
Ray Negron, a special assistant to George Steinbrenner.
Yes.
A story in his own right.
Yes. It's a totally different story there.
Got caught for putting graffiti and George, right?
So in
They end up working
95,
with the Yankees.
once I knew the Yankees had some interest in me, and I'll admit it now, I wouldn't admit it when I was playing, but I don't know if you guys remember when Seattle was playing the Yankees in the playoffs in 95. I was actually rooting against the Yankees because I wanted the pitchers to do bad, so George gave me a shot to play with the Yankees. I was rooting for David Cohn, though, but Jack McDowell, I was hoping he got bombed, to be honest with you. So after the season was over, I met with George in Tampa, but he didn't talk baseball. He just talked about what I had been doing the year I was suspended. He wanted to know more about my personal life and what was going on. So after that meeting, I didn't think he wanted me, but basically he was just trying to find out what I was doing. So after that, he ended up signing me to a contract, and I signed a 2-year with a 3rd-year option. He said, just stay out of trouble and just do well. And that's basically how I became a Yankee. Unfortunately, that year in 96, I started out 0-3. And I remember meeting George, coming through the tunnel. My wife never met George. I said, here's Mr. Steinbrenner. True story. But great guy. He said, I want to introduce you to Mr. Steinbrenner. So he got closer. I said, hey, boss, how you doing? I'd like for you to meet my wife. And his response was, when you going to win me an elfin game? But he sung up flowers after that, but a great guy. Even once I retired in 2001, I got to work for George for 6 years, so I got to see a side that not many people got to see. All the community stuff he did in Tampa. He never wanted any cameras. He never wanted none of that stuff, and just a tremendous guy. I still miss him today.
When you have the boss like that hit you with that, like, does that give you a little more of a? I mean, because we saw a lot of times when the boss would erupt or get into it, it did seem like it inspired a team. Did you feel that in a positive way, or was it like, oh man, I better get my ass in gear?
I felt it in a positive way. The thing about George, George was a fan. I mean, he wanted what's best for the organization and team. Like, he called a lot of heat. They say, oh, he's buying players. He's bringing these guys in. He's paying this amount of money. Well, the other owners had the same opportunity to do the same thing, but they was pocketing the money when George invested money back into the organization. So I give him a lot of credit for that. But the thing was, he just wanted to win so bad, and that's what it was. If he got on you, I deserved it. But at the end of the day, George was in your corner.
What's it mean to wear pinstripes? I mean, what does it mean to be a Yankee? You obviously play for the Mets as well, but what has this organization meant to you?
You hit a word like tradition, pride, and that's true. Because just something about the guys that came before you and the way they took the game. Yogi Berras, the Manos, the DiMaggios. I got to meet some of those guys through the old-timers games when I was a Yankee. And they took a lot of pride in it back then and passing the history on. Even if you guys go to spring training, you might see 20 former Yankees down in spring training. That's just the way they ran the organization. I think that's what it meant, the pride and tradition. And it was just something about that. I didn't play at the new stadium. I played at the old stadium, just going there and knowing all the great guys that played there before you. I mean, it's just a different feel. And each day, not that I didn't give my all, playing with the Mets, but with the Yankees, just the Yankee pride, as they talked about, the pinstripes, there's just some extra incentives there to do well. And just, I don't know what it was, if it was a ghost in the stadium or what it was, but it just brought out the best in you.
Your ups and downs. And we'll do a little Q&A, but I want to ask you, I mean, listen, you've hit some unbelievable lows. I remember talking to you, jail and things like that. What kind of effect did that have on you? What do you tell, there's some younger people here? Because one of the things I always say is, like, there's not a nicer person than you. Yet, you ran into some trouble. Trouble can run into nice people. What do you tell the younger people in the audience about some of the troubles and tribulations you ran into and how to avoid that?
I think the main thing is being honest with your true feelings. And one thing I can say, that drugs doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, you're black or white. And knowing your surroundings and being able to speak to someone when things are not right, whether it's your parent, your sister, brother, teacher, what have you, and being honest with yourself. A lot of times I was in total denial. It was basically like if I was struggling with my curveball or my fastball, I knew how to fix that. But when I was struggling with drugs and alcohol, I thought I could do it on my own, but I couldn't. I didn't want to ask for help. The ego would get in the way, but I keep going backwards, keep getting the same results until I finally got in a program and reached for help and got honest with myself and removed that mask. What I mean by removing that mask, knowing that I'm not visible, I'm human just like anybody else. I have a problem now, and how do I handle that problem? How do I attack that? How do I face that? How do I be honest with myself? Because everybody knew what was going on, and I was just fooling myself the whole time. And not only, I had to understand that I wasn't only hurting myself, but I was hurting my kids, hurting my family, my fans, everybody cared anything about me at that time.
Regrets?
There was plenty of regrets, and I'm glad you said that, because one thing I had to learn was I had to tell myself, if my kids can forgive me, if God can forgive me, who am I not to forgive myself? But I found out I didn't want to forgive myself because I was using that as a reservation to go back out and use. And so until I got completely honest with myself and digged inside to see what was going on, that's when things got better.
Wow. Okay. 96. Did you see that team coming? Did you think that you had that good a team? I mean, because it seemed like all of a sudden, boom, you're in the playoffs, boom, you're in the World Series, down 0-2.
There's a lot of talent there. We saw the talent in spring training. We had a lot of veteran guys. We had a lot of guys on that team that was from different organizations, with the exception of the core four, the Jeter, the Posada, the Pettit, and Rivera, but everybody else was from different teams. Derek came in late, for the Mets. David Cone was there. But we knew in spring training we had something there. It was just a matter of building chemistry. I thought Joe Torre was the right guy to manage that team. Having Don Zimmer.
So why was he the right guy? Why?
I think a manager, and this is nothing against David Johnson, who I love, but I think a manager, I think what makes a great manager is being able to deal with personalities. Because if you got a 25-man roster, you got 25 different personalities. And being able to deal with each personality, whether it's a pat on the back, whether it's getting in the guy's face, whether it's benching him for 3 or 4 days, whatever it took, Torre knew exactly what to do and how to approach each guy.
Was he the right guy on the mound when you were struggling? Who was the right guy on the mound when you were struggling? Was Girardi? Who was the best guy to come out on the mound? Was it Joe, Girardi, Posada?
Stoudemire for me. The reason why I was Mel Stoudemire because I was lucky enough to have Mel Stoudemire with the Mets when I was a youngster, and then I had him at the end of my career. Mel knew my ups and downs. He knew I was overthrowing. He knew when I didn't have the confidence. He just knew when something wasn't right. So I thought that was a plus for me, having Mel at a young age and then having him when I made the transfer to the Yankees. Very important.
Was Girardi now obviously managing? What was he like when he came out to the mound? What would
Girardi
be
was
some-
great.
What was some of the things he would say?
Girardi was great. One thing about Girardi, and I tell him this all the time, great guy, great competitive. And I got a funny story to you after this. I'll fast forward. But Girardi, one of those guys come to the mound, and Girardi always say, okay, get behind the plate. I know you're going to call a curveball. He always called what he couldn't hit. Not necessarily what the scout report said about this hitter. It was just about what he couldn't hit. And he struggled with the curveball, but a great competitive. And Girardi's a great guy. I mean, I love throwing to Joe. He would get the best out of you. Even the days you probably didn't have your best stuff, he'll make you think you had your best stuff. And like the day of the no-hitter, like Gary Carter, I mean, obviously I know this is Met Stadium, and Joe caught my no-hitter. I remember after the game, we were doing a press conference about the no-hitter, and some report asked me, well, who's the best catcher you ever thrown to? I said, well, I guess it was Joe Girardi because I'd never thrown a no-hitter before. The next day, who did I get a call from?
Gary Carter.
Gary Carter. So, amazing. But both of those guys were very competitive, but Joe was one of the guys, and I'm not surprised at the job he's doing with these guys here. Just a great competitive and a great man.
Another great guy, Gary Carter. What was he like calling a game? He's probably like a lot more patient. I know Jorge was a little. Did Jorge catch you at all?
Jorge caught me a little bit. Jorge was great. He was more aggressive. He had a good arm. The way he set up was great. I thought
Not warm and fuzzy though.
Not warm and fuzzy. Just a great competitive and did well. And Carter was more of a veteran guy that did it. Yes, Darryl Strawberry, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, brother?
Great.
New York traffic.
Yep. We were just talking about you.
I hope it was good.
It was the usual. You know, we were basically saying that that we were worried about whether Dwight was going to be on time. But you two guys go back and forth. I mean, so we're just kind of going down memory lane a little bit. A little Gary Carter, a little no-hitter. Both of you guys have had so many ups and downs. That's why I think it's such a gem, like to have both of you really, because really life is full of ups and downs. And both of you have had the highest of high and the lowest of low. And I've kind of feel like I've been around there to see a lot of it, from picking you up in the hospital. Remember when you had colon?
Yeah, colon cancer.
And I was like, listen, let's put that colon cancer aside. Let's make some money. We got a lot of people feeling sorry for you right now.
Well,
That was,
of course. You
that was
don't know
98.
Come on, you don't know if a guy's going to live or not.
I wasn't thinking that. I was, you actually were amazing when you think about what you went through. You were looking pretty good that day.
Yeah, it was very challenging, to go through that whole process of facing cancer and, really knowing that my mom passed at the age of 55, 20 years ago from terminal breast cancer. And I ended up with colon cancer young. I ended up twice with colon cancer and lost my left kidney in my second surgery. So, living miracle right now, of course, because of that.
Or a cat with 9 lives because
I don't know about all that. Yeah. I know the danger of cancer and what it does and how many people have had people in their families or loved ones, someone has been affected by it. It's real, and to be able to go through that whole process I went through and still be sitting here and being the living miracle and walking today and doing different things today is a miracle, because I had it twice, and I'm living with one kidney right now, and that's a living miracle within itself.
First of all, how are you feeling? How are you doing? And what are you doing? Because I think I look at you, when I see you around preaching, I've seen you on TV, I've seen you raising money, talking to kids. Are you just 100% these days just committed to helping people?
No question, my day, getting up every day, it's about who I can help and make a difference. This life is a journey, and I'm really privileged and honored, that God would allow me and call me to preach the gospel all over the world and make a difference and have treatment centers down in Florida and helping people Of course, being on the White House Joint Committee Board with SAMHSA for the next 3 years for substance abuse and mental health to bring about faith to our generation, because our generation is broken, and we see so many young suburban kids ODing and dying, addicted to heroin and opiates, and America's broken. We need to get the principles back to our families and our kids and get to the table. And it's not an overnight miracle, but we keep talking about putting people in positions that don't know anything about substance abuse, and they really can't help the kids. They there for their own identity to identify their own self. And for me, someone that's been down that road and that's in recovery and understands it, it's an urgency, and I wake up every day to make a difference, to help someone. That's what I really wake up for. God has given me the opportunity to live such a wonderful life, and I'm truly grateful for that. But also, I have a passion to make a difference in others' lives.
I asked Doc this. I mean, I've seen you go through some pretty incredible highs and lows. We've been out 3 in the morning, back when I was a younger guy.
What were you doing out there at that time?
Just trying
That's what I don't understand. What were you? I understand why we were out. But what were you doing out at that time?
We're just hanging. We were just, that's what you do. It's 3 in the morning, and I was just hoping that not all there was like maybe a couple girls were going to talk to me that weren't talking to you guys. But
I won't say shame on you, Brandon.
But it was so crazy back then when I think about it, and then I think about jail. I think about all the things you've been through. Where do you find the inspiration and power to make this kind of comeback?
Well, it's not a man thing, man. What we got to get to realize that man didn't create us. We're created by God, and the thing about it is finding his love and his purpose for one life was the greatest gift I ever found. Not hitting home runs, winning championships. The greatest gift I ever found was the peace of God and the love of God, and understanding why I was created. I was created for his purpose and his plan.
Who helped you find that, though?
My wife Tracy. She's a living miracle for me, and that goes for anybody out there. If you're married, if you're not married, it's a good thing when you marry a woman and she loves you and she cares for you. It's okay to follow the principles of a woman because it makes you a better man. So my life has been, yeah, you can clap on that.
I'm going to have to write that down.
I haven't found that woman yet.
You haven't found that one?
I've been divorced twice.
Well, I have too, but that's the third time. It's like 3 strikes a ball game, You strike out, but
No, it was totally my doing, trust me.
yeah.
Doc, let me ask you one question. How are you guys? You read in the paper, you get along, you don't get along. You guys are brothers, friends. What are you these days? And how's the chemistry and relationship between the two of you?
Relationship's great. It's like having brothers. One day you fight, the next day you love each other, but at the end of the day, we know we got each other's back in the corner. I think a lot of times that we've talked about where, we let other people dictate our relationship instead of us talking to each other, and we have too much history, spent too much time together, going back to '83 when we first met, to just pick up the phone and call each other. I'm guilty of it. We've talked about it. He's been guilty of it, but those days never happen again. Now if something's going on, we just talk to each other about it.
Cool.
You like that? Is that okay with you?
I just want the truth.
Well,
I just want to know the truth. You read in the paper and
Brandon,
fake
you
news,
can't-
maybe, I don't know, but I just want to know. Do you
can't-
guys get along? Are you hanging out back? You guys brothers again, or is
Brandon, you can't always believe what you read in the paper, what others saying. If we've had our say in it, okay, we've had our say in it. But we've gotten past that, and we realize that our history and what we've accomplished is more important than talking to the papers about who we are, and that's just where we at. That's where we need to stay. There's nothing else that need to be said. We just, we have something to talk about. We'll talk about it together.
So you guys have an understanding?
Yeah, just like an old married couple. What's wrong with that?
Well, you guys are an old married couple, and listen, you're part of New York fabric, and when you guys are not cool, given what you accomplished, with the Mets, which is pretty much the only thing that's really ever happened since '69, you guys were it. When you think about it, right? And then, obviously you're a big part of the Yankee run. The two of you, had a great run. So you guys are New York guys. I mean, so when things are not right between the two of you, there's a little something wrong.
Yeah, it is. It is when it's not right. And we truly love New York. New York is home. I'm always grateful for New York fans. You guys are probably the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. And being able to play here and play under the magnitude of what New York is all about and the pressure and being able to excel makes you a better person. I think a lot of times a lot of guys talk about coming to New York and playing. Be careful what you ask for. You just might get it. You might get thrown right into the frying pan and have to play under the pressure. And if you don't excel, you can't. A lot of times people can't handle that. And I was grateful that I was able to play under this. I love playing under this pressure. Like I always said, the biggest mistake I ever made was when I became a free agent was leaving New York.
To L.A.
Went to L.A. Baseball was boring. It was like different, it was like the Dodger fans, they were great, but what happened was they would come late to the game and then they would leave early. I was like, what is this, New York fans come early and they stay all night, and they yell at you, and that's a good thing.
True. One quick thing, we're going to do some Q&A. By the way, if you share this, if you're watching on Facebook, we're going to be giving away, whoever shares the most, a couple people, we're going to be giving away signed balls for Dwight and Darryl. What do you tell Aaron Judge? So if you're listening out there on Facebook, share it, and you're going to win a ball signed by these guys. What do you tell Aaron Judge? I mean, a lot of pressure. Kind of reminds me a little bit the way you kind of came on the scene. Every at bat, you couldn't change the channel. You couldn't go to the bathroom when this guy was up, right? What do you tell Aaron with that kind of pressure, that kind of amount of eyeballs on him?
Well, I would tell him, first thing is take a page out of number 2, the shortstop that played here for 20 years. Take a page out of his book and learn from him. He was great at everything that he did, and he kept his mouth shut, and he just performed. And that's what Judge has to do, is just perform. Don't get caught up in the nightlife. Don't get caught up with what people are saying about you and the hype about you. Baseball is a game that's going to change every year, and there's going to be some ups and downs. And if you learn how to ride the ups and downs together, it balances out for you, and it makes you a greater baseball player. That's why Jeter was so great. So many guys looked at him and, they always talked about what he was, and he never said nothing. He just kept working hard, and he just kept showing up, and he kept performing every year. And that's what made him great, because I know if a few players, if I was young like Jeter or Judge and someone had said something crazy about me, I would have popped him in the mouth. But that was the difference between me and Jeter, and that's what Judge has to do. He has to respect the game. He has to work hard. Don't take off seasons off. I used to see Jeter live down in Tampa because I lived down there, and as soon as the season was over, after we won championships, it was only a couple months, January 1st, he was back in the gym working out. And that's something young players have to learn. They have to learn to continue to work out. They think 1 year is just a miracle. 1 year is going to make you, is not going to make you. I've seen a lot of players that have been successful in 1 year but never went any further than 1 year, because they never worked hard enough at the game, because the game is very difficult to play. It's not that easy.
You had the lights. You had everything happen. What do you tell players that are in that locker room across the way that are, this young, from what you've learned?
I think the main thing is just understanding what got them there, and Darryl pretty much covered it all. Understand what got you there. Don't cheat yourself. Don't cheat your teammates. And everybody that approach you don't always have your best interest, because you're going to get approached by everyone, all type of deals, off the field, waiting for you outside the locker room. And sometimes even your own players may not have your own interests. I hate to say that, but that's very true. So just understand what you got there, how you got there, and respect the game, and keep working hard.
All right, we'll do a little Q&A from the these. By the way, these are our VVIPs. They're day in and day out. They're loving Yankee baseball, season ticket holders, and support the team, through and through. So thank you all for coming, and just want to make sure that that you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Give him a hand.
Thank you. We're gonna do a little Q&A.
I actually have a question for both of you. First one, Darryl. the ball you hit in Montreal that hit the top of the wall near the roof. Was that the hardest ball you ever hit in baseball?
No, that wasn't the hardest ball I ever hit in baseball. The hardest ball I ever hit in baseball was off the clock in St. Louis. It was a hanging breaking ball by Ken Daly, and we go on to win that game 1-0. Ron Darling pitched a great game, and he threw me a hanging breaking ball. It was probably 85, I believe, 85, and I hit it off the clock, and it broke the clock in St. Louis.
Doc, Mackey Sasser used to have problems throwing it back, and I remember there was one game where I think it was the Astros were counting how many false throws he would throw, and you looked into their dugout and said something, and they didn't count for the rest of the game. Now, I read that you said the next person, if I hear another number come out of that dugout, I'm hitting the next person. Was that what you said, or did you not say anything?
Honestly, I don't really remember the story. You know, I killed a lot of brain cells, but I do remember one game. Well, I had asked for Mackey Sasser to catch me, and nothing against Mackey. I mean, I'm not getting on Mackey, but because we weren't scoring any runs, and Mackey can hit, even though he was struggling with throwing the ball back. So I wanted Mackey to catch me by the third inning. I was so tired of walking down to meet him to get the ball. I mean, it just took too much out of me. But I somewhat remember the story, but not the whole story.
Next question over here. Doc, I was at your no-hitter, and I remember you dialing it up and getting Griffey on high heat. I want to know at what point during that game did you realize you had something more than you had had in a while?
Probably not until the sixth inning because actually that game, I don't know if you guys know the story. I'll go through it real quick. I was supposed to go home to be with my father who was having open heart surgery the next day. So I wasn't supposed to pitch, and I thought that he would probably want me to pitch. So the first 3 innings of that game, I was standing in the tunnel between the dugout and the clubhouse, wondering if I made the right decision or not. So not until the sixth inning when I was looking at the scoreboard to see who Seattle had come up to hit. You see no runs, no hits, no errors. Then obviously, aware of the no-hitter going on, and the heart started beating a little faster, the anxiety sticks in. So at that point, I was able to put my dad aside and just go as hard as I possibly can at that point. Obviously, ended up going on ahead to throw the no-hitter, go home the next day, and my dad had the surgery. He never made it home from the hospital, but the last game he told me pitch was no-hitter, so that made it that much special.
Next question back here.
Hey, Doc, Darrell. If we could turn back the clock, you two fellows were privileged to play for the '86 Mets and the '96 Yankees. If those teams could play against one another in their prime, what would be the outcome and why?
I know it was 2 great teams, but if I had to pick one, and this is hard because we're in Yankee Stadium, I would take the '86 team only because, and I'm not cheating the '96 team, but I just think the '86 team had much more character and a little bit more heart, maybe. A lot of us came up together from the minor leagues, and so we was a little closer than the '96 team. That's not taking nothing away from the '96 team, where, again, as I spoke earlier, a lot of guys came from different organizations, so it was more like an all-star team put together, where the '86 Mets, we both came up from the farm together.
Yeah, I mean, that '96 team was a great team. It was the beginning of the shift and the change for the Yankees because of Joe Torre. I think the greatest thing a player could always remember is who's the manager. If the manager is good enough, then the team can go. And that's what I liked about Joe. He was great at putting players in the right place at the right time, right situations. That '86 Met team was really, really crazy. And I don't think too many people would have beat us. We had more fights, bar fights, plane fights, team fights. It was just fights. But the crazy thing about us, we had so much heart and so much character together as a unit. That '96 Yankee team was put together with different pieces, different players, and I came in, and I believe Cecil came in, and other players came in. It was just put together. But that Met team, we kind of all, like Doc said, we grew together. '86, we got Carter in '85, and Carter was a big piece that was missing, a right-hand bat in our lineup. And when we got him in that '86 team, it really brought the pieces together. Him and Ray Knight and Hernandez, we had some good veteran player leaders.
How about the '98 team, though? How about '98? I mean, does that rank a little bit of?
Well, '98. Well, they didn't ask '98, Brandon.
Moving off of the,
you said '96. You know.
Moving on to like what I think was probably a team that look, the '86 team was a tough team to beat. You guys
It's
are
a
nuts.
different time. You know, it's a different time. You know, that pitching staff we had a great pitching staff. Doc Ojeda, Darling Fernandez. You know, we had a great staff, and 98 Yankees were amazing. We had an amazing team that year. We had a run that nobody could beat us that year. I just remember it was just lights out every time. We would be behind, and we were just sitting in the dugout kind of like kicking back. Like, we knew we were going to come back and win the ball game. It was just like, okay, let's turn it on, and all of a sudden the team turned it on, and there you go. You come back. We could be down 4 runs. We knew it, that we would come back and win ball games. It was just like the mindset of the '86 team, knowing that you can come back and win ball games.
Yankee season ticket holder, but I'm really a Met fan, so don't kill me in here. Just want to say 1985, Mr. Gooden, the best. This is not even a question, just ridiculous. 24-4, 1.53 ERA, just simply amazing. Darryl, respect to you as well, but just wanted to say as a Met fan, growing up, you guys were amazing, and I wish you guys nothing but the best, man. I really do, because growing up and watching you two guys, man, it was real, man. No questions for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, I thank you. I really appreciate that, and I think a lot of people don't realize how good this guy was. 1985. It was like when you played behind him, it was like so boring. Because he wouldn't let nobody get a hit or hit the ball to the outfield. You know, they like bloop singles or something like this. And I just remember how good he was. I just remember playing, but I've never seen nothing in my lifetime. And you'll probably never see it. And some of you young people probably would never see what it was like to watch this guy go out on the mound. And he was, what were you, just 20? Just a night, because he came up, he just turned 20. And he went 24-4, like you said. It was an incredible season to be on the field and watch that. It was just a lot of fun to be a teammate.
The city would stop. You couldn't get into a sports bar when he was pitching. Everybody wanted to stop and see you pitch. It was just insane.
Remember that guy who was up there with the K corners up in the corner? He would run back and forth, and he'd get the crowd going, and he was crazy. And I'm up there looking at him. He's got 2 strikes. He's got everybody going. He was just like crazy.
We got time for 2 or 3 more. Darryl said he's staying until like the 8th inning.
Hi, my name is Micah. I have a question for both of you. What was your favorite player when you were playing and now?
My favorite player? My favorite player in baseball of all time is Pete Rose. I saw him.
Why?
Well, because when I got interested in baseball, I saw him playing for the Cincinnati Reds, and I saw the way he hustled. And I'd never seen a player. He didn't have the talent as all the other players, but when you saw him take a walk and run down to first base, he didn't walk down to first base. He ran down to first base. And then when you saw him slide into second base, he didn't slide into second base. He dove into second base, you know, and I was like, this guy is amazing, you know, because he wasn't talented like Johnny Bench, Joe Morgan, Tony Perez. He wasn't talented as those guys were. And I just thought, wow, man, this guy really loves the game of baseball, and that's the way a player should play. And I just really thought he was an amazing player. And I liked the way, because he ended up with the name Charlie Hustle for a reason.
Did you bring that up because we're playing the Reds tonight? And it was just kind of like a...
Oh, I had no idea you was playing the Reds tonight.
Yeah, bro. How about you? Who was your favorite?
Amazing. I never knew that. We've known each other for, what, 35 years now, and Pete Rose is my favorite player as well. You know, growing up in Tampa, you know, since I Reds had spring training in Tampa in the 70s, and he's the first autograph that I got in the parking lot. And back then, they had the Polaroid cameras where you take the picture and the pitch flat out. So my dad took the picture, and I got it, Pete, and then the fast forward to 1984 when I made the team, we opened up in Cincinnati that year. I came out early to watch the Reds take batting practice, and Pete was the first guy to come over and congratulate me for making the team. And so that summer when my dad came up, he brought the picture. I had Pete sign it, which he didn't remember that as a kid. But you know, being a 7-year-old kid and now you're facing your idol, it's tremendous. But I never knew that was your favorite player as well.
I hate to ask you that. Oh.
Favorite player now? Favorite player now, I mean, I'm not going to jump off the bandwagon, but it's still Matt Harvey. Matt Harvey's still my guy.
That's random.
I like the kid. I like the kid. Harper from the Nationals. I think he's a tremendous young player. I think he's going to be a great young player if he just keep developing like he is. He's really tough. I mean, they say a lot of times does he make bonehead mistakes? Yeah, he's young. And I think a lot of times people criticize that, but you wait till he get to the age of like 28, 29. That's when I think he really going to take off, and this game's going to take off to a whole
You
nother
haven't
level.
seen his best game yet.
No.
Doc, I hate to ask you this, but do you still have that Kodak photo?
I have no idea where it is now. Probably not. But I do have a new photo with me and Pete.
Oh, cool. I got a beautiful picture of you and Hank Aaron. Gorgeous photo from
Well, we all can find photos of. You can find yourself photos of
way
Pete.
back. I mean, early before photos now are photos and they're everywhere. By the way, my favorite player, by the way, is Gary Sanchez. Don't. That's a cornerstone for this team for many years to come, and we haven't seen his best day.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he gets the English thing down and we can start really seeing what's on his mind. But he's special.
Oh.
Special.
Oh my God! Give him a break. What? The best player. We usually talking about the best player around this area here around the Yankees is number 2. He was the best player that they ever had to put on the
I was
Yankee
talking
uniform.
about now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
Like any of these young kids, though?
I don't really know him. I just know that I know Jeter was the class act of baseball, and you don't really find that in players that come into New York City because New York City could swallow you up. But for him to come in here and do what he did and the character that he had, with guys saying things about him, and he never said anything back about it.
We love Jeter, but
Yeah.
we're going to stick around for a few innings. I'm going to introduce you to this new team, these new baby bombers. It's some cool kids out there.
I believe they are. I'm
gonna point 'em out to
But
you.
I don't
We're
even
gonna watch.
like baseball no more, Brandon.
Wow, that's cold. Where's that come from? That's random.
After playing, so many years and stuff, you move on in life, and you just don't like it. It's just baseball, I don't even watch it. I'm only at Yankee Stadium today because of you,
Now we're getting to the truth now. All right. Now we're maybe getting somewhere. This wasn't just some chitty chat. Jeez. I mean, you okay with baseball?
I still love
Now, we're
baseball.
sitting down watching some baseball tonight. You guys are sitting. I'm going to show you how exciting this is right now. This is like 96 all over again, man. Seriously. You're not going to see the enthusiasm. This is going to remind you of what it's about. These kids they're in it to win it. And I love the chip. They got a little chip on it. Remember that? You used to have that chip. You come out, you had something to prove. Now you had something to earn too, and something to prove. But these kids are fun. We don't know what the heck is going to go on.
Well, I know they're young. I've heard about
Right.
it. I've heard about the Yankee team, and I know they're young, and that's good. They finally got young.
Yeah.
I know the fans are happy about that. We're young. We're getting rid of all these old guys and get some young players
Well, if they
in
were
there.
thinking that way in the '90s, I mean, your career would have been shortened. You right?
No, but the '90s
So-
were different. '90s were different when you
saying.
pulled it when George pulled those players together. He was about winning.
We're about winning. Listen, there's a lot of winning thing going on now with some trades the Yankees made, but there's kids across the street at stands waiting for Judge's balls to pop out of the ballpark. We haven't had that in a long time. I mean, that's cool.
Well, he looks like another Mark McGuire. That's how McGuire was when he
Crazy.
was a rookie.
Crazy.
Mark hit 49 home runs his rookie year, and
So, something, we are running out of time because you guys got to eat like for the third time tonight. So I'm just saying.
This is going to be our last question.
This
Real
really
this
is going to be
time.
the last question. She's going to beat me up if we don't do that.
I'll make it quick. It's easy. Along the same vein of players, Doc, was there any hitter that just gave you fits that stands out in your mind? And Darryl, same thing. Any pitcher that you just had a tough time with throughout your career?
For me, it was Chili Davis. You thought maybe it was Tony Gwynn or maybe Wade Boggs, but Chili Davis was with the Giants on the domestic. Couldn't get him out, and when I was playing, I would never admit it, but now I'm not playing. I threw at him intentionally several times trying to intimidate him, but it didn't matter. He just was tough. He was a pain in the butt. And even when he came to the
That's
Yankees,
random.
Yes, that's random.
I'm like, where is that coming from? You threw at Chili Davis?
I threw at Chili Davis several times. I couldn't get him out. I tried to intimidate him, not to hurt him, but just to kind of intimidate him, but it didn't matter. It just one of those guys that just had my number. I couldn't get him out.
my biggest fear was like really when I first got up to the plate, got on deck, and I was about to face Nolan Ryan. And it's like my heart was pumping, it's just like Nolan Ryan, So that's the only pitcher I really ever had some type of fear about, was facing Nolan Ryan, because it wasn't the fact that he was that much better than a lot of other pitchers. It was just the demeanor that Nolan had on his face. he was like a country boy, you know. And he used to walk around the mound like, it, and looking at you like, this is mine here, you know. You should see his face, and he walked around, and he just walked around the mound, and he got on the mound, and he just like, I was like, okay, you can have it, brother.
Hold on, but the fear must didn't last long, but I remember taking him off the scoreboard at Shea Stadium.
Well, I got him in the playoffs, and I took him off. I finally got over the fear factor. Once I got a little cocky there, I finally got on the other side. You cocky confidence in yourself, and all of a sudden I get on the other side, and I had to face Nolan in some big situations, and he was throwing a 1-0 shutout at Shea, and I hit a ball down the right field line to tie that up, and we go on to win that game. Lenny hits a home run, and we win that game. And the reporter came and asked Nolan. Marty Noble told me. He says, "Well, Nolan told me." He says, "Nolan, what happened in this situation with Strawberry?" He says, "His talent beat my talent." And he said, "What do you think about that?" I said, "I don't even want to say nothing about that because I don't want Nolan Ryan throwing at me."
Did you find fuel when with the Darryl? Did you find fuel with that? Did that help you, or did that?
I mean, that was never a problem. I mean, I think the Boston fans, they didn't. Boston sucks, period. Just anything about Boston.
We all agree
Boston
on
fans,
that.
Yeah.
Now that we got that, right? We're all on that page.
Yeah.
I don't know about the 86 Mets versus 96 Yankees. We're going to bring that to Facebook and see how people vote on that.
But it never bothered me. I mean, they started it in Boston, and they tried to get on my nerves a little bit, and I didn't make a big deal out of it. I think sometimes too many players make big deal out of what fans are saying to them. I don't think, Boston fans are terrible, but I think going to Chicago and playing in Wrigley Field, now their fans were the worst, because if you get close to the fence back, the ivy back there, they're just going to pour beer all on you, And they really hated us, and the Cardinal fans, they really hated us. They thought we were a bunch of pond scums, so baseball.
You brought a little of that on yourself. Plus, the day games in Wrigley. Well, you're out every
brought
night.
it on ourselves.
You're out every night in Chicago, which God knows what was going on there. So that was not a good city for that team to go to.
We were like rock stars, just like the Yankees in the '90s. The Mets in the '80s were rock stars in the city. That's baseball, and that's what it turns to be. When you go everywhere, everybody hates you. And when you put on a Yankee uniform, it's the same way. Everybody starts hating you.
Yeah, I can see that. So to recap, you're helping a lot of people. You've been a little bit like a cat with 9 lives. Yeah. You've had some ups and downs, but your marriage is everything. You found the perfect woman, and you're happy.
I am totally blessed. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve the blessings that have been poured up on my life, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I learned my lesson, my journey about life and the purpose and why I was created. And it's not about me. It's no longer about me. I don't have to wake up. It's not about Darryl Strawberry. It's about who can you help? Who can you make a difference in someone else's life? And that's a gift. That's a privilege. I'm so honored and privileged that the Lord has allowed me to travel the country and be a servant for Him and speak the gospel across the world. I'm blessed.
That's great. Keep up the good work. We're proud of you.
All right, thank you.
It's amazing, right? Dwight, you're good?
It's good.
You guys are getting along, which is good. You're communicating without a therapist.
We need
There's
Dr.
no
Phil,
question.
huh?
Maybe one of the great seasons of all time. 85. Everything's going well for you. You're on the right path?
On the right path. Things couldn't be any better, and Darryl been a big inspiration for me, and we are getting along. We never had a therapist. We're the therapists for each other. But life is good, and thank you guys for always supporting me as well.
Well, I want to thank everybody here. If you're on Facebook, thank you. Share this and win some autographed items. Thank you. You guys are the best. We'll see you again next time.